Hello all my beautiful sisters from those other misters. Welcome to my March recap. So this is a series where I talk about things that were prominent in my life in the previous month, usually beauty products, occasionally not beauty products. So we're pretty much well into April at the moment, so this video is going to be going up very late, but that's okay. I don't have a lot to talk about. I want to start with skin stuff because I had a skin event, not like an event where you go out. It was like a thing that was happening to my skin. Please, helicopter, rude. I wonder if you guys can hear that. In this new room, whenever there's like an external noise, I'm like very interested to see how it picks up on camera. Anyway, so okay, this actually dates back to February. I use retinol products for my skin and I really like them. My favorite is the Glyco Age Repair Retinol Booster. I've had this in my life for quite some time now. I've also used the Ultraceuticals MD Retinol Cream. Don't love that one as much, do prefer this formula. So I was using that, really happy, everything's going well. And I had this idea that I wanted to do a video talking about Eliza Vecca products. So Eliza Vecca is a Korean brand, and I've used quite a few of their products, and I thought it would be cool to just talk about the products that I've tried. I really like the brand, I love the packaging, they're cute, they're affordable, and a lot of their products are really good. So I decided that there was a specific product that I hadn't tried using yet and I had to start putting it to the test if I wanted to do this video. It is this guy. So it's the Eliza Vecca Milky Piggy EGF Retinol Elastic Cream. I'm not going to get too deep into this because I'm going to do a video where I'm actually going to sit down and talk about it. But essentially I stopped using my Glyco Retinol and I started using the Eliza Vecca. And it had been a month where I was just using that specific retinol cream as like my only retinol product. And I started to notice that things were going south with my skin. So I've got quite large pores in this area of my face. I've got fine lines here. I've got fine lines up here. And the big ones that really, like, these are the first ones to go when things are going downhill for my skin, my smile lines. So I started to notice that my smile lines were looking deeper and not as plumped. And then the pores on my cheeks started to look not as nice. And even while I was using like acids and stuff like that, which is like, you know, I use acids in my routine because it's good for your skin. I was still noticing that things were just they weren't looking as good as they were prior to just using this. So I was like, I don't think this is enough. I'm bringing back my Glyco Age Repair. I just started using this every night under this and it didn't occur to me, and it should have. I should have known. In hindsight, I think it's stupid that I didn't realize, but I didn't realize at the time. My skin had gone out of retinization, so it wasn't turning over the cells as quickly as it usually does, and it had to go through it again. And retinization is kind of like, some people call it the retinol uglies, where you start to like shed the skin cells that are turning over really quickly. So I was using this every night and it came out of nowhere. The first sign for me is like my skin feels rough and then it starts to peel. And that happened. So when my skin started to peel, I pulled this back to every third night because I was like, oh shit, I went too hard, too fast. But my skin was already going through it. So I didn't stop using this. I was going to work through it. I just pulled it back. So I pulled it back to every third night, and then I upped it to every second night, and then back into every night. And slowly the shedding, you know, went away. It probably lasted about 2 weeks. And now my skin is back into like every night retinol use with this guy, and I still use this over the top as well. Now I know Darren, some of you will know that I know Darren, who makes the Glyco brand, and I was talking to him about it, and I'm like, I think my skin's going through the retinol uglies, and I'm using your retinol with another retinol, but I don't think that retinol's as strong. And he's like, yeah, you might have gone too hard too fast. And anyway, I did some maths of how much retinol is in this, because it's marked as, it's not on this container, it's like 2,500 UI per gram, I think. And from what I can find online, I think that's a 0.075% retinol, whereas this is a 0.5%. So this is much stronger, and this is not nearly as strong. So I think what I learnt this month is 100% this is not enough. This might be good for some people, or it's probably more that you need to use it for a long period before you start to see the results. And I'm not about that life, okay? Like, I understand that retinol takes a long time to work at its optimal, like at its best. But if I can use this without irritation, if I go through the retinization carefully rather than chucking it on my face every night without realizing what I'm doing, I get really beautiful results from this. Whereas I'm not waiting for this. Like, I'm not waiting for this when I know that this works so well for me. So that's where we're at. At the moment, I'm using both products every night, loving it. My skin is so much better. Oh, I loved it. I sent Darren an email and I'm like, look, I know you don't need to go through the peel, and your retinol is very gentle. And when I switched from the Ultraceuticals to this, I had no issues whatsoever. None. Everything was perfect. I just slowly saw the improvement. I didn't have any textural issues. I didn't have any irritation. I didn't have any peeling of skin. But I think because I had not been using enough retinol, or a really super low dose, for quite a while, yeah, I went through retinization. So there we go. No regrets. And I said to Darren, I think my skin really needed that peel, because once I came out of it, fuck, my skin was so nice. So nice. If you haven't seen me talk about the Age Repair Retinol Booster before, I have on my channel, but not everyone watches every video. This is an oil-based retinol, so it's a retinol in an oil, which makes it really gentle. I'm not going to squeeze it out because this is expensive, and I treasure this. I literally treasure it. I use it very sparingly and I adore it. Fantastic product. If you are looking for a nice retinol, I would highly recommend this. At this stage, if I'm going to buy another over-the-counter retinol, it's going to be that one. The other step in my skincare routine in March that was really important for me to be careful with was cleansing. So when my skin was peeling, it also felt quite dry. Retinol makes you feel quite dry. So, you know, moisturizing and stuff was really important, but I had that down pat. But I didn't have a lot of cleansers in my stash that I felt were quite what my skin needed while it was going through the retinization. I didn't really like using foaming cleansers, and that's usually my preferred type of cleanser, because my skin was sort of dry and, you know, a bit upset. So I didn't want to dry it out even more with the cleansing process. I wanted it to be gentle, hydrating, not stripping the skin, but also assisting with like removing the flaking skin gently and easily. And the products that were super helpful were these guys. So the cleanser is the Legom Cell Up Gel to Water Cream. This is a gel cleanser. It doesn't foam. So it comes out as a clear gel, and when you massage it into the skin, it develops, it thins out and it feels almost like water. Not completely like water. It's got a bit of a thicker viscosity than water, but that's like how it feels, and it doesn't foam up, it's not soapy, nothing like that. The cool thing with this cleanser is you can put it on dry skin and massage it in and then tissue it off. You can also use it to remove makeup. It doesn't break down makeup like a cleansing oil or a cleansing balm does, but when you, if you put it on and then you take a cloth and gently wipe off the makeup, it takes it off really well. I was mostly using it because I like to use cleansing oils to remove my makeup, and I found them quite effective and still gentle on my skin. I was using this as my secondary cleanse in the evening and rinsing it off with water, or as my only cleanse in the morning and rinsing it with water. When I was going through the rinsing process, I would take this. This is a sponge from Dear Klairs. It's a cleansing sponge and it's hard. You can see it's pretty hard. But when this gets wet, it softens up. Sort of like a cognac sponge, but I'm not sure if this is cognac. I think it might be. Anyway, so what I would do is, after I had rubbed this all over my face and I got my water to a nice sort of lukewarm temperature, I would get this sponge nice and wet, and I would use it to really, really gently wipe off the cleanser. I'd use circular motion and it would help take off any of those excess dead skin cells that were ready to come off. So this was great, and I'm going to kind of squirrel this away for any times when my skin is upset, because we've come into autumn in Australia, and I know that when my skin sort of transitions from autumn to winter, there's a little bit of upset shit that goes on, and I think this is going to come in handy. So I love that cleanser. If you need a gentle cleanser that doesn't foam up, it's not going to strip your skin, but it's really effective, that's a really nice one. Another thing I loved this sponge for was removing face masks. So there's something I hate about using a cream mask on the face. It's the whole washing it off process, because once you've had it on your face for say 10 to 20 minutes, it starts to thicken and dry and get harder. Even if it is a hydrating face mask, mud masks are the worst to remove. The whole standing at the basin and trying to rinse it off your face just annoys the shit out of me. Now, I know you can totally use a muslin cloth or a face flannel or whatever, but you've got to wash them. I try to use masks quite frequently, and taking a new flannel to wipe off a mask 2 or 3 times a week, no, I've got to wash them. I don't need to add to the washing. There's 3 people in my house. I don't even have time to cook a decent meal in the evening or do just general washing. I don't need to be adding extra face washes to my washing every damn week. So the sponge, having this in the drawer where I keep all of my bathroom cleansing products, so good. Wet it, wipe everything off, rinse the sponge, put it away to dry. So good. I love it. And look, you don't need a sponge to do it. Like I said, you can use a face flannel. If that works for you, keep doing that. But for me, the sponge is a much better option. I find I've actually got something that I'm happy to use to wipe the mask off my face. Otherwise, I am going to stand at the sink for 10 minutes trying to fucking rinse it off with running water. I've got 2 makeup products that stood out to me in March. One is the Smashbox Photo Finish Primer Water. So this was in my project pan. I finished it off. I powered through it. I fucking loved it. So I used it as a primer, as a setting spray, and also like spraying it onto a sponge, getting the sponge really wet, and then rehydrating areas of my face. I don't know what it is about this. Like, I don't think this helps with like makeup longevity or anything like that. I don't think it makes your makeup look particularly amazing, but it's probably the first primer that I've used in actually years that I wasn't like on the fence or meh about, or straight up just didn't like. Like, it's probably the first primer I've actually liked in years. And look, I don't even know if I would consider it a primer. I would consider this just like a makeup helping product. Like, you know, you can put it in between layers to help rehydrate things as you're going. I don't know, I freaking loved it. It was so good. I've got two of these. I've got a full-size Serene Greens and Centering Citrus, and I know there are some coming. They're not here yet. I know they're out in the States, from the Smashbox Hood Witch collection. There's 3 new scents. If I like them, I'm totally gonna buy them. Like, if I like the scent, I know I like the formula. If I like the scent, I'm totally gonna buy them because this stuff is great. I will say it stinks. Like, it smells stale and old and gross, but that's just the smell of it. Like, it's not that the product is stale and old and gross, it's just the scent of the product. So I don't think the scent is nice by any means, but the product, I just loved it. My skin responded so well to it. I'm totally like, I loved that product so much. My last makeup item for this video is a Pat McGrath palette. This one. Can you tell which one it is? Can you tell? No? It's this. So it's a Mothership 1 Subliminal. There we go. So this is the one with the blue in it. And the only reason I'm talking about this today is because I mentioned in another video that I was going to do a 1 month, no, not 1 month, 1 palette. 3 looks 1 palette with this and hopefully the rest of my Pat McGrath collection. And I sat down to do that with this palette. I filmed a blue look, which ended up in my, was it my monthly beauty purchases or was it my empties? Like, the look turned out well on camera. In person, it looked so jarring and it didn't look good. Nothing wrong with the eyeshadow. I'm gonna say that straight up. The blue eyeshadow in this palette, it really is like all sorts of absolutely beautiful. Like, it's beautiful. I just don't like the way blue eyeshadow looks on me, on my coloring. It doesn't look good. But I'm not trying to complain about the blue eyeshadow. Basically, I'm not going to do like 3 looks 1 palette on this palette or any of my Pat McGrath palettes. I just don't have any passion for Pat McGrath palettes. I don't have much passion for any palettes at the moment, to be perfectly fair, or any eyeshadows, and I feel like I need to stop pressuring myself to conform to what I think I should be doing with palettes in YouTube videos. So I kind of have this like thing where I'm like, oh, I should be reviewing them and I should be using them as much as possible and I should be doing this. I should do it as soon as possible because the palette's getting old. And I'm like, the pressure is just, I don't like it. Like, the pressure is making the passion go away. And with Pat McGrath palettes, it's a double-edged sword because people are so passionate about it on the internet, and if you don't love it, if you say anything negative, you fucking get reamed by the internet. So I'm not going to review my Pat McGrath palettes. I might even just let them sit in a drawer for 2 or 3 years before I come back to them, like I have with the majority of my other eyeshadows. I feel like eyeshadows at the moment, and I talked about this in like my monthly beauty purchases or monitoring my beauty purchases. I talked about sort of the loss of passion with eyeshadows, and it is real for me. And I just, yeah, it's just, I don't know, there's no joy there. I just don't. It's, every time I use eyeshadows, it almost feels like this fucking burden chore that I'm like, I don't even want to do this. So if you were waiting for the Pat McGrath palette video, don't, because it's not coming. I just don't want to do it. And I feel like if you force yourself to, or if you continually force yourself to do something that you don't enjoy, that you technically don't have to do, you start to build resentment. And I feel like I'm starting to resent eyeshadows. I feel like I'm starting to resent my large eyeshadow collection. I have had, like, this is gonna sound so stupid, I have literally stayed up at night thinking about, should I just declutter my eyeshadow palette collection massively, or like what do I do? But I feel like if I do that, I'm doing it when I'm coming from an unhappy place, and I would probably regret that in the future. So I think I need to just detox from the new eyeshadows. Like, don't feel pressured to do the shit that everyone else is doing. Like, if you want to watch Pat McGrath reviews, go watch them. I have no passion for those palettes, and I don't want to touch it. Today I used the Soft Clam, which I really like. I love Soft Clam. It's a beautiful palette. And I also use the, I also use the Urban Decay Moon Dust palette, which I haven't used in so long. So long. And I really like it. I like it. So, I don't know. I'm thinking like I need to focus on my old palettes for a little while. I need to show some love to the stuff that brought me into the obsession with eyeshadow palettes, rather than the volume of stuff that's coming into my life now, because I just don't, I don't know. I don't really know how to be articulate when I'm talking about my feelings with eyeshadows, because it's a new thing for me. It's sort of slowly started to like build up in my life, and I don't really, it's like eyeshadow fatigue. I don't know. I don't really know what it is. I've never really experienced this with any particular makeup product. Sometimes it happens just with makeup in general. I'm like, look, I don't want to wear much makeup, so I'm gonna wear minimal makeup for 3 or 4 months, and then you get back into the passion of it. But I've never had it where I look at a specific group of items in my collection and I'm like, ugh. The last items that I want to talk about are not beauty products, they are adult products. It's not what you think, it's alcohol. That didn't sound right. So a little bit of backstory. Game of Thrones starts on the 14th of this month, which might be like right now when the video is up. Anyway, sometime really soon. And I noticed, I think it was the end of February or really early in March, I spotted some bottles of Scotch in one of my local bottle shops, and they were Game of Thrones collaboration scotches, and they were pretty expensive, and there was a lot of them, and I was like, oh, I really want them, but like I can't afford to buy them all. Maybe like I'll start to like buy like one here and there until I've got the whole collection, because I don't even drink Scotch. Like I can drink it, but it's not my drink of choice. Anyway, I didn't buy one when I first saw them, and a couple of weeks later I went into the bottle shop and I'm like, all right, I'll buy a bottle and then like get one every week until I finish a collection. And I noticed that they only had a couple left, and I grabbed one. I said to the guy when I was checking out, do you have any more stock? And he's like, oh, we've got 2 more bottles of that particular one in the bag. But for the other bottles, it's only what's on the shelf. And I was like, what? He said that they were insanely popular, and they were like flying off the shelves. It was limited edition. Once they were sold out, they weren't getting more. And I was like, shit, I've got to buy these while I can. So I went on a hunt for these bottles of Scotches, and there's 8 in the collection that released. One of them didn't release in Australia because of licensing rights. It was House Tyrrell, and in Australia we have a brand of wine called Tyrrell Wines. So I understand why that particular one didn't come here. But there's another one that I wasn't able to get that sold out. But let's start with the one that I purchased first. Dun, 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 dun. So this is the Night's Watch Oban Bay Reserve. Now, each of these bottles of whiskey is a collaboration with a whiskey distiller from Scotland. So they're all different brands and types of whiskey, and they're all like, it's the good shit. It's from Scotland. So this is a single malt, and look, I don't really know what that means, but I've got one. So the tube of this, as you can see, it's black. It has the Night's Watch oath on the front, and then at the back it tells you a little bit about the Night's Watch. It has Westeros with all of the houses and stuff. Like, what am I doing here and here? And then it's got like the alcohol details that you need to know. Oh, on the top it's got Game of Thrones pressed into the tin lid, and then when you take out the bottle, look at it, it's fucking beautiful. It's a black bottle. Again, it's got the Night's Watch oath on it, just some like necessary details on the back, little bit of detailing on the cap, Game of Thrones. The others that I managed to get were House Tully, so it's got the fish on the front. This is the Singleton. It's another single malt. It's by the Glendullan distillery. I also picked up House Stark. So each of these house containers have like the house name, and then under here you might be able to see it says Winter is Coming. House Tully says Family Duty Honor. This is Winter's Frost by the Dalwhinnie distillery. House Lannister is the Lagavulin distillery. That's a 9-year aged Scotch. There is a 12-year. It's House Baratheon. I can't find it anywhere. It's sold out. Kat was so good. She put up with me for fucking hours while I was on a hunt for the House Baratheon bottle, and we went into a bottle shop, and the guy that was serving, he had one in a box, but it was an order for someone else, and he wouldn't sell it to me. I tried. Trust me, I fucking tried. House Greyjoy. So that's with the like the squid or the octopus. This is the Talisker single malt. And the last one that I have from this particular range is a House Targaryen. This is the Cardhu Distillery Gold Reserve. So yeah, I bought those because when I saw them, I thought, oh yeah, that is a Game of Thrones collaboration done really, really, really well. It's so clever. It's absolutely fantastic. Granted, if you're not an alcohol drinker, you're not going to want these, but I drink alcohol and I actually don't plan on drinking these. I kind of want to buy a bottle to drink it, but keep these as is. I am just so sad that I've not been able to get House Baratheon. And I've looked online, and I even looked for House Tyrell online. They're sold out. I think it would be a cold day in hell before I managed to get my hands on any of them. But because I was sort of upset that I couldn't get them, I also bought this one. This is just a bottle of Johnny Walker. This is the White Walker. So it's Johnny Walker. There's nothing special about it. It's a blue label, I would say. Yeah, I would assume it's blue label. Anyway, it's the White Walker Johnny Walker, which I think is really clever. If we get up nice and close, let me see if I can show you. His eye is blue and reflective like a White Walker. He looks very dapper, so I picked up a bottle of that as well. It might actually be smarter for me to keep one of these intact and buy one of these to drink rather than the expensive good stuff. When I was buying the Oban Reserve, the Night's Watch one, I was sort of like, I was with Mum and I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm doing this. This is really ridiculous. Like, I don't even drink whiskey. She's like, well, you might love it by the end of this. And I'm like, well, I kind of want to keep the bottles sealed and like, you know, collect them. And she's like, well, whiskey does age well. And I said to her, I don't think they all do though. And the guy who was serving us, he was listening and he goes, they don't all age well. Most will age to some degree, but this particular one will age really nicely. And he said the others in this range will also age quite well. They're good scotches. So yeah, whether I drink them one day or not, that will be another story. But yeah, I bought 7 bottles of scotch that I don't plan on drinking. So that's it for my March recap. It was a little bit odd towards the end there, just caressing my tubes of whiskey that I'll never drink. If you guys enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. Feel free to leave your comments down below. Did you pick up any of the Game of Thrones whiskies? Let me know. And that's it. I'm gonna go. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.